Hey, what's up? My name is Tyson Brown and I want to welcome you to Tyson's Fitness Tips podcast. This is Australia's top health and fitness podcast to help you lose weight, look good with your shirt off, feel confident in your body, and finally achieve the goals you want with your health and fitness. So 5 days a week, I'm going to be giving you top information from myself and also from leading experts in the field so you know everything you need to do to get in the best shape of your life. From nutrition to mindset to workout, everything is covered in this podcast and you need to go nowhere else. So like I said, it's going to be 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, in your ears with quick actionable segments that you can implement straight away, because the most important thing is that you can put these things into play. Also, if you listen all the way to the end of the episode, you're going to get 2 special gifts that you can download upon listening to it. So make sure you listen all the way to the end to get those free gifts, okay? So let's get into the episode.
Today we're going to talk about principles versus methods for fat loss, and why that's important, because when you understand principles versus methods, you are going to know how to lose fat and why fat loss actually happens. Sorry about my keys rattling. So I kind of mentioned this a little bit in one of the dieting mistakes episode, but I wanted to make my own podcast about it because I've talked about it with a lot of my clients, and I've talked about it more and more since this concept came into play for me to understand like the differences, right? And you're probably wondering like, what are you talking about, principles versus methods? And I've kind of just jumped straight into it. So let me just gather myself for a second. And we'll start off with like, when it comes to principles versus methods, like what the difference is, what is actually a principle, what is actually a method, and why it's important for fat loss, right? So the reason this comes into play, and the reason I want to bring this up, is because there are a lot of diets out there at the moment. Keto, paleo, Atkins, intermittent fasting, if fit your macros, all those other things. And all these things are known as methods, okay? They are a way, like you know what a method is. Like a method is being able to follow something step by step to achieve a means, okay? Now a principle is a fundamental truth that a lot of people, like basically everyone follows, right? So there are a few principles in life, but there are many methods. So a principle is a fundamental truth, okay? Now, the principle when it comes to losing weight is that you have to be in a calorie deficit. The body cannot create energy, right? So if you eat less than you burn, if you burn more energy than you consume, you will lose weight. That is being in a calorie deficit. You eat less than you burn. So if you eat 2,000 calories a day, but you burn 2,500 calories a day, you will lose weight. That is the principle. That is the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created, right? It can only be transferred. So when you eat food, it gets transferred into the body as energy. That energy is then expended from the body in different ways. Movement, bowel, taking a dump, moving the energy away. There are so many different ways that your body uses energy. And if you use more energy than comes in, you are creating a calorie deficit and you will lose weight. That is a principle. That is a fundamental truth that you cannot argue that. That is the law of thermodynamics. Now the thing that comes into play is that now that you know that, right? You know what a principle is, you know what the truth is, you know that you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. Now this is where methods come into play, because methods, there are many ways to achieve that calorie deficit, all right? People talk about keto putting you in the fat burning zone, keto being great for fat loss, right? If you just eat more fat, you're gonna burn fat. So here's what happens when you go to keto. You go to keto, you cut out quote unquote carbohydrates. You cut out a food group. That means you can't have mac and cheese. That means you can't have pasta. That means you can't have rice. You can't have fruit. You can't have dairy. You can't have a lot of things, or certain things of dairy you can have, but you're making a big restriction on what you can eat. So what are you stuck with? You're stuck with fatty cuts of beef. You're stuck with, what else do they have? Bacon. You're stuck with very, very small option of food, right? Pork crackling, all these things. So you're eating predominantly fat and you've cut out a food group. You're limiting your selection of food, and by doing that, you're eating less. You're just eating less calories. You're eating a lot less calories because you are so restricted. And so what happens is you create a calorie deficit, not by keto being magical, by you cutting out a food group and eating less food. And that's what happens when you lose fat. Okay? Intermittent fasting. Why is intermittent fasting so beneficial for fat loss? Well, let's have a look at it. Intermittent fasting means that you go for a certain amount of time without eating food. Let's say you used to eat breakfast at 7 a.m, then you would eat lunch at 12 p.m, then you would eat an afternoon snack at 4 p.m, then you would have dinner. Okay, cool. That's how you basically go. So now you've decided to do intermittent fasting. You finish dinner, let's say at 9 o'clock, you don't eat until 1 o'clock. You've now cut out your first meal of the day. That first meal may be 400 or 500 calories. Then you have your first meal at 1 o'clock. You've also made a conscious decision to try and eat more healthier. So your first meal is most likely going to contain fewer calories than what you used to eat. But it's going to be more voluminous. You're probably going to have a big chicken salad or something like that. So you're going to feel full. Then you'll eat a little snack at 4 o'clock, and then you'll eat a good dinner, okay? You've cut out between 500 to 800 calories of food. You've skipped an entire meal. You've now put yourself enough of a calorie deficit. Remember, 500 calories a day of a deficit equals 3,500 calories a week equals 1 pound of fat loss a week, right? So just by making that small decision to skip breakfast, you're reducing your calories for the day. That's the second thing, okay? That's how intermittent fasting works. You're just skipping a meal, you're putting yourself in a calorie deficit. Flexible dieting, you're tracking your food, you can eat whatever you want, right? As long as you hit this calorie deficit. So people track their food using MyFitnessPal, they eat some foods they want, they know they have to eat less than they burn, they eat less than they burn, they lose weight. So all these different diets out there are methods to achieve the overarching principle of a calorie fucking deficit, okay? And so next time a diet comes out and it's ranting being the next greatest best thing, or someone's telling you not to eat, okay, another one, don't eat fruit with your meals. You can't have fruit before or after because of some bullshit thing that I heard someone talk about, right? And if you do that, and let's say you used to eat 3 to 5 pieces of fruit a day, and then you cut that out. Well, an average piece of fruit contains about 100 calories. If you cut 5 pieces of fruit out a day, that's 500 calories. So all these things are just methods to creating a calorie deficit. And now that you know that, all these methods still lead to the same overarching principle, you now have the decision to choose what you want to do to achieve that principle, right? Which method do you want to follow to achieve that principle? Do you want to follow keto? Do you want to follow flexible dieting? That's what I would like to do, follow flexible dieting, because then I can have foods that I actually enjoy. All these little things, right? And the reason that's so important is because next time a new diet comes out, you're not going to be fooled. You're not going to be tricked into thinking that this is the next latest and greatest thing. Because you're like, oh, hang on, that still leads to the same principle of a calorie deficit. And then you're not going to let people pull wool over your head. You're not going to let people trick you. You're not going to let people fool you into thinking that this is the next best thing and you need to buy their book and you need to buy their supplements, you need to buy this and that, because they're all reaching the same fundamental truth. It's all leading to a calorie deficit. And there are so many methods of diets and ways to do it out there, and they all still lead to the same thing, okay? And this is very, very important, because once you know this, you can see through bullshit. You can stop wasting money on supplements and books and this and that. And all you have to do is focus on being in a calorie deficit, however you want to achieve that, okay? If you want to do keto to do that, okay, you've made the choice to do that. But there is nothing extra and special. You're not going to get any faster results with one method than another. Actually, that's a lie. You will get faster results with some methods, because a method you choose that you can stick to means you're going to get faster results. because you're not falling on and off the bandwagon. The same thing as if you choose a method that helps put you in a bigger calorie deficit than what you're on, then yes, that method will help you achieve your goal faster. So I guess I kind of just contradicted myself, as yes, there are methods that will help you achieve your goal faster, but it all comes down to personal preference. So I hope you re-listen to this again if it didn't make sense. I really want you to take this to heart. I really want you to understand the difference between methods and principles, because when you know that all methods live into that same principle, you're going to be able to just feel more confident. You're going to be able to tell your friends and family and be like, hey, actually, the reason that works is because it creates a calorie deficit. And they might not know that, but you now have the power, okay? So I hope that was helpful. I'm back on the main road. There are a lot of cars. I'm going to wind up the podcast here. If you have any questions about creating a calorie deficit, diets, methods, principles, anything like that, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Tyson the Trainer with 2 R's. Till next time, speak to you then.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. So now you've listened all the way to the end. That means you get some free goodies. So what you can do is you've got 2 different options, or you can take them both. I've got an intermittent fasting cheat sheet and a high protein 20 recipe meal guide designed specifically for you in your situation. These meal plans and this intermittent fasting guide is designed to help you burn stubborn belly fat and get in the best shape of your life. So all you have to do is go to the show notes, click on the download link, and they'll get sent straight to your email address. It's as simple as that. They're completely free. They're going to help you transform your body. So go to the show notes now and download your free guides, and I'll speak to you in the next episode.